I think I'm just speechless by the snow outside. October 28th, first snow of the year. It's crazy. Hey, I'm Jackie from So Bright Home and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Made myself a nice fresh cup of coffee. I just wanted to sit down with you guys and chat. Completely stepping outside of my box here from what I normally do. To be honest, I'm in a bit of a rut. I'm in my office, it's a mess. We're just going with it today. I don't have a script. I don't even know what I'm gonna say, but I know that I want to talk to you about 3 things. Thought I would start out by just sharing my journey and how I came to content creation, because if you're new here, you probably don't know, and maybe you've been following me for a while and you're still not really sure of like who I am and where I came from, sort of thing. So I'm going to share that first. And then second, I'm going to share a bit of a project update, where things are kind of at. And then third, I'm going to talk about this rut that I'm in. I don't know, maybe we can like work through this together. Feeling a little vulnerable, to be honest, because I don't normally do these kind of like just chat with you videos. It's like very, here's a project and I'm showing you how to do it, and like that's what I'm comfortable with. If I look awkward, probably because I feel awkward. Let's just get into this. So my story, I'll just start with like the last sort of 10, 11 years-ish. I guess maybe we'll back up a little bit more. I went to university. I got an undergrad degree in environmental science, and I did environmental consulting work on contaminated sites. Like we worked on old gas stations, old mine sites, refineries, all that sort of stuff, like water sampling, soil sampling. My husband says I used to be a dirt sniffer. Okay, so there's that. And then after I worked at a refinery for a long time, I was concerned about my own health in that environment. I went back to school. I went to UBC and did my master's in occupational and environmental hygiene. Some people call it industrial hygiene. And then after that, we moved to Saskatchewan and I got a job at a potash mine in health and safety and doing also occupational hygiene work. That was great. And then life happens and we had a baby. I went on mat leave for a year. And my baby was such a good baby. I was bored. I know it's hard to believe if you maybe have a higher needs baby, but mine was just a sweet little baby sleeping away. And I remember thinking like, what am I gonna do all day? Like I need to do something. So I started sewing. I actually started sewing for her when I was pregnant. I've always known how to sew, but I kind of got into it a bit more. And then after I had her, I couldn't keep sewing for her because there's only so much sewing a person can do. So I started making and selling on Etsy. I sold baby bibs, I sold scarves, I sold headbands, little dresses, all sorts of little things. I did Etsy, I did markets, and it was actually doing pretty good. And when my daughter was a year old, I went back to work part-time. Half the day I worked at a potash mine. The other half of the day she would come home and nap in the afternoon, and I would bring her home to do that. And then I would sew while she napped. And it was kind of a little bit of best of both worlds, but also wasn't totally sustainable. After a few years, we ended up moving back to BC, and I left my work there. I just found it a really hard balance with like trying to be a really good worker and trying to be a really good mom, and then trying to find time to do something that I was passionate about. It just didn't go. Having a job in industry while raising a family is very difficult. I'm not saying you can't do it, but for me, it was overwhelming. Anyways, I left my job. We moved to BC, and I continued doing my sewing. It was doing really well. I would sew my scarves and have these launches and sell out, and it was incredible actually. I literally sold hundreds and hundreds of scarves and they would sell out in like minutes. It was crazy. It got to a point in my business where I either needed to like really raise my prices or hire someone to help me, or probably both, and I didn't really want to do either of those things. So yeah, I was kind of reaching this point in my business, but at the same time, I just had a second child, my son. He was born in 2020. My kids are 6 years apart, and there was a big age gap because between the time when my kids were born, I actually had 5 miscarriages, and we went through IVF. So I had 5 miscarriages, and that led us to going down the path of IVF. And so through those years, there was a lot of heartache. There was a lot of loss. There was a lot of me just like trying to stay positive in the season that we were in while also caring for another kid. And I don't know how I did it. It was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. I know they say when you have a miscarriage, it's not your fault. And I know that to the core, but still subconsciously, you somehow think you could have done something differently to prevent it. And so I was really trying to be careful with my body. I didn't want to do some of the house renos that we wanted to do while I was pregnant. I was scared to lift things when I was pregnant. I was honestly scared to do a lot of things when I was pregnant. And I was pregnant a lot. A lot of my pregnancies went to 10 to 13 weeks before I miscarried. That's a lot of time pregnant in 5 years to have no baby. But on the flip side, we have this beautiful boy who is 5 years old in kindergarten now. Okay, I need to focus and circle back to my story here. The point is, after my son was born in 2020, I felt like this huge weight had lifted. And I felt free to move my body and free to do the things that I wanted to do. I wasn't scared anymore. And I went full into renovating our staircase. It was quite an epic project. It was so good. I loved it so much. And I was like, just felt so good to be working on something in our home that we've been wanting to do for a long time. Because when we bought this house, we did want to renovate it. But life just happened, right? There's some things you can't control. A lot of things. Around the same time that I found joy in these renovation projects, and also that my sewing business was kind of reaching this peak. With 2020 and COVID happening, there was more and more people sharing their home renos, and so people were really interested in it. So that's when I decided to make the shift from sewing my creations to teaching people how to do things. And that's when I launched patterns for my scarf, for example. That was a super top seller. I designed that pattern, and you can purchase that on my shop now. Since then, many people have made the scarf for their families, and also makers make it and sell it at markets, and they do really well too. So those are all very cool things. That's when I started working with brands and collaborating in order to get some of our house renovations done. One thing led to another, and I started sharing more of our crafts. I've always done these little crafty projects, but I just started sharing more of it in a way that I could teach you how to do it and hopefully inspire you to create as well. That's how I got into content creation, essentially. Now skip ahead 5 years. So I've been doing this for 5 years, and I kind of feel like I've hit this wall, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? Why am I hitting this wall? What's next? When I share my projects, I always think about the mom or the woman who wants so badly to create something beautiful or do something, but just doesn't feel like she knows how. Like she wants to do it, or maybe she knows how, but she just like can't get motivated to do it, because sometimes we do know how, but we just get so overwhelmed in the idea of where to start that we don't do it, right? I freeze when it comes to things that I'm unsure about, or I don't want to mess up, or I'm scared to make a mistake, right? So I just don't start. I hope that that mom or woman sees my projects and sees what I do and sees that they can do that too. Like that to me is my ultimate goal. The reality is I don't have all this money coming from all these places to make these crafts and stuff. I'm a mom, a woman, probably just like you, and I just want the woman watching to know that you can look around your home and grab from things in your home, or grab from nature, or grab from the thrift store, or grab from all these other places and make something beautiful with what you have. Like you can create within your means. It is possible. I truly believe that. I show that every day. That was a lot to unpack. That's my story. Okay. So now I promised you the second thing I would talk about is a bit of a project update. So this summer, my husband and I started building a shed, and I haven't shared much of this on YouTube. I'm going to once it's finished. I'm going to go back and share all the videos. But we started building a shed in our backyard for storage, and we are one board short of being done. You don't want to know how that conversation went. But anyways, we're going to finish that up. And then inside the house, I started ripping up my son's bedroom because he's got allergies really bad and we wanted to replace the carpet. Even though the carpet's only like 6 or 7 years old, it was recommended to us to replace the carpet, so that's what we're doing. Of course, one thing led to another and it's a full-on room renovation. I have renovated it once before, so it's an easy renovation. Like, there isn't that much to do. That's happening. Really need to just focus on the master bedroom in our house and the kitchen. Everything else is done. We do hope one day to sell our house, but for now, this is what our plan is, to renovate those rooms. I'll be sharing that over the next year or so here. And then our travel trailer. I have to admit, I didn't quite get as much done as I wanted to over the summer, but I did renovate the whole master bedroom and I just put some new curtains in. I did some work in the kids' bunks. And so next spring, I'm going to get back at it and I am going to work on the kitchen area, like the main part of the trailer essentially. And I have one more YouTube video coming out soon, which is all about winterization and how we winterized our trailer, because we live in the north in Canada and we'll be putting it away for this season. And then of course the seasonal stuff. You will continue to see seasonal things. I will continue to share my craft books because I think they are an amazing resource and they save you time and money from like spending money on crafts that don't work, and time just to organize crafts, get all the supplies and stuff. And the people who have purchased them always rave about how much they love them and how beautiful they are. So I'm going to continue to share my craft books with you. They are in my shop if you're curious about them. You also never know what I'm going to find on the buy and sell of the thrift store that all of a sudden I need to upcycle. So there's that. And that brings me to my third thing. I feel like I'm in a rut. I feel uninspired. When I go on social media, there's so much AI stuff, there's so much content creation stuff, and I just feel like, why am I here? I know why I'm here. I just told you guys why I'm here. But still, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel discouraged. Like, I feel like there's so much pressure to come out with a new idea, that it's got to be new and exciting. I also love the crafts I made as a kid. So why do we have to reinvent everything? But then if you share something from before, people are like, that's not new, that's old. And everyone's just meh, 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 meh. And it's not like I'm not saying it's new. I'm just saying, here's a craft. I don't know. Everyone has an opinion about everything. Without knowing it, I think it just kind of wears me down a little bit. And I feel worn down. I get these ideas and I think, oh, I'm going to make this. And then, or I do make something and then it's a complete flop. And I'm like, oh, well, I was really excited about that. Why is nobody? And sometimes it's not that the idea isn't exciting, it's how it was presented, and I get that. I feel like if you don't have all the best video gear and everything, you're also lagging behind. And I feel like that's me. I just don't really know. Feeling uninspired and unmotivated and just wondering, like, it seems to be harder and harder to work with brands right now. I don't know if it's just my experience. They also want more and pay less than what they seemed to a couple years ago for me. It feels hard out there, you guys. I don't really know how else to say this without sounding like I'm whining, because I'm not whining, and I hope that doesn't come across like that. I just wanted to share where I'm at with you. There's just so much that goes on behind the scenes with content creation. I think a lot of people don't see it and they think it's just, oh, this company sent me this free product and now I share about it. But no. There's so many other things. Like, I need to film, I need to send it for approval, I need to make sure everything's right to film it, make sure I love the product, because I'm not going to film something and share something that I don't like. That's happened to me before, and I went back to the brand and I said, I'm sorry. Like, I spent all weekend making all of this content. I said, but I don't like this product. Like, I can't do it. Can't share it, and I won't share it. And so that happens too. What do you guys do when you're in a rut? Like, where do you go for inspiration? Wow, that was a lot. So, now that you kind of know a bit more about me, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Subscribe if you want to see what's next. Upcoming, I have the travel trailer video. I'm going to share about the shed in short form content. I also struggle with, like, what do I share short form content? What do I film long form? What kind of videos do you want to see in that regard? I know this is just a phase and this is not me quitting content creation. This is just me being real with you and sharing, being very vulnerable, to be honest, like very for me. Thanks for being here. I truly mean it. All of the views, the likes, the comments, subscribing, you guys fuel me and I appreciate it so much. So hit subscribe if you want to know whatever the heck I do next. And thank you. I'll see you in the next video.